मार्गेणाचिरिता परम् आत्मनां ब्रह्म निर्वाणम् भगवनन्त अवाप्यः एवं सा कपिलोक्तेन मार्गेणाचिरत परम् आत्मनां ब्रह्म निर्वाणम् भगवन्तम् अवाप्यः. Synonyms: evam, thus; sa, she, Devahuti; Kapila, by Kapila; uktena, instructed; margena, by the path; achirata, soon; param, supreme; atmanam, super soul; brahma, brahman; nirvanam, cessation of material existence, cessation of materialistic existence; bhagavantam, the supreme personality of Godhead; abhava, she achieved; her, certainly. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Vidura, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devahuti soon became liberated from material bondage and achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Super Soul without difficulty. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Three words have been used in this connection to describe the achievement of Devahuti: Atmanam, Brahma Nirvanam, and Bhagavantam. These refer to the gradual process of discovery of the absolute truth, mentioned herein as Bhagavantam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead resides on various Vaikuntha planets. Nirvana means extinguish the pangs of material existence. When one is able to enter into the spiritual kingdom or into spiritual realization, one is automatically freed from material pangs. This is called Brahma Nirvana. According to Vedic scripture, Nirvana means cessation of the materialistic way of life. Atmanam means realization of the supersoul within the heart. Ultimately, the highest perfection is realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is to be understood that Devahuti entered the planet which is called Kapila Vaikuntha. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets predominated by the expansion of Vishnu. All the Vaikuntha planets are known by a particular name of Vishnu. As we understand from Brahma Samhita, Advaita Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. Ananta means innumerable. The Lord has innumerable expansions of his transcendental form, and according to the different positions of the symbolical representation in his four hands, he is known as Narayana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudev, etc. There is also a Vaikuntha planet known as Kapila Vaikuntha, to which Devahuti was promoted to meet Kapila and reside there eternally, enjoying the company of her transcendental son. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale स्वयं रूपकदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सागररघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सागरललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Lachal Nivasa Nityaya Paramatmane Valavitra Subhadrame Jagannathaite Nama. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. Today we are discussing this beautiful subject matter. In the last verse, it was mentioned by Vyasadeva in this beautiful verse that Devahuti's uh, appearance and Mother Devahuti's behavior were forgetful, in nature, wherein she used to, her hairs used to not used to be organized, and you know, and she was getting into a mode of trance, wherein she was experiencing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And today, um, in the next verse, uh, Mother Devhuti is uh, getting liberated and going back to the the Vishnu planets, such as Kapila Vaikuntha in this example. So, but here it starts with my dear Vidura. So, where is Vidurji coming in? As you remember, long time back, probably one canto back, it started with Maitreya Vidura Sambad. That means Vidurji is going on a pilgrimage, and he he meets Maitreya Muni, and from Maitreya Muni, he is learning the transcendental knowledge as to what happened and how everything happened. It actually started from Canto 2 onwards. So, in the translation, it starts with My dear Vidura. That means Maitreya Muni is telling Vidurji about the liberation of Mother Devahuti. And, and Vidurji is experiencing this rasa spoken by Maitreya Muni. And in a recursive loop that goes, there are many different subject matters which was discussed in that. It talks about, Lord's uh, pastime in Dwarka, in the second chapter, how Lord, when he was born, how he was like a lion, and how he was like a cub, and how he and there are different subject matters which are getting discussed between Maitreya Muni uh, and Vidurji. And we are at a point where the discussion between them is about Kapiladev and Mother Devhuti. So that's the background, which we may have discussed, may not have discussed. So Vidurji is very important in this all this discussion, because Vidurji is a very great devotee of the Lord. He understands the relationship between a person and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And and Vidurji understands the value the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna brings in our relationship, and and he understands the process of liberation, of doing devotional service. So when he is hearing this beautiful subject matter between Kapiladev and and Devahuti, he is able to reconcile. Many times we have done studies on different areas, but when we see it in action, you might have seen internal combustion engine, either mechanical engineering or wherever. But when you see a car running where the gas, the petrol is burning, and that internal combustion is translating that to energy, and that energy is converted to the rotational energy through the gearbox, it basically translates to a car. You see the real aha moment in your life. Likewise, Vidurji has experienced bhakti, has experienced love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now, when he is seeing it, as you can see, it's a beautiful um, pastime which you may have heard also. So here, Lord Krishna has come to Vidurji's house, and Vidurji is not at home. And Vidurji was a minister, and he was busy doing other activities. So Vidurji's wife uh, was was very excited to see Lord Krishna. And when she is about to serve Lord Krishna, she is so much engrossed in the look, in the appearance, in the movement, in the behavior, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in her doorstep. And in confusion, she started serving. And as you can see, she's serving the peel of the banana to Vidurji, sorry, to Krishna. And Krishna, seeing the happiness in Vidurji's wife, he is also eating the peels of the banana, and the pulp is kept away, and the peel, जिसको हम छिलका बोलते हैं, Krishna is eating the peels, and it is going on actually. It's not as if Krishna is stopping and telling mother, "Hey, you should feed me pulp." No, that's not how. So, and when Vidurji arrives in this picture, then so Vidurji has experienced it, and when this pastime is spoken by Maitreya Muni to Vidurji, Vidurji is able to reconcile in his mind. So, what is that? Those principles which Srila Prabhupada is expanding: Atmanam, Brahma Nirvanam, and Bhagavantam. So, what are these aspects of reaching, or rather attaining the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Atmanam, Brahma Nirvanam. So, let's discuss that. So, when we try to aspire towards uh, serving or meeting or attaining the Supreme, we have different paths. We want to understand who we are, who is the Supreme, what is the relationship. And these paths take us through different journeys, one being the Karma Yoga. And Karma Yoga is a process where you attain, where you end up doing activities, and you want to excel in those activities, and then the outcome of or the result of the karma, you want to offer it. And through this process of karma yoga, you get a tinge of the access to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's a big thing now, because everybody says work is worship. Work is worship. So that means work is something we have to do to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there is a desire to excel, desire to do better work. And you keep on doing the work, keep on doing the work. And then finally, you want to give the result of the work. Still, there is a tinge of desire there, because you want to excel in your ability to do well. Then the jnana or dhyana, the sense of meditation, wherein you think that Lord is present in our hearts, which are there are a lot of meditational techniques which are available right now. And then you are also doing the seeking of knowledge, as in reading scriptures, trying to memorize verses of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Vedas, and so many Puranas. And and then there is a desire. Once again, there is a desire to learn. There is a desire to excel, and there is uh, and when you are not standing up to your pertinent desire, you have challenges. And the third path, which we all are very accustomed to in our movement, is our ability to serve. When you serve, there is no desire in a way. And that's why in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the main thing is Anya Vilasita Shunya. That means we should have no materialistic desire, in terms of materialistic desire of seeking knowledge with the intent to be a, a so-called profess things to our subordinates, or trying to make a huge project wherein it's essentially the intent is to serve. The intent for serving, there is no desire. You just have to serve. In the sense, of course, there has to be desire to serve. That's one thing, but in serving, there is no excelling. Oh, I am serving. more than this. Is there this competitive desire, which is a predominant thing in karma and jnana, is not in bhakti, and that's the reason why the bhaktas bhaktayam abhijanati. That means only devotees understand the supreme. Krishna has said it. So so here the path of liberation is described so beautifully by Maitreya Muni through the dialogue happening between mother and son, Kapiladev and Devahuti, that through this process, which is laid out, eventually Mother Devahuti is transported and promoted to Vaikuntha planet. And which Vaikuntha planet? She goes to the Vaikuntha planet where Kapiladev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, is residing in Kapila Vaikuntha, and and she gets to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Kapila Vaikuntha. So the path here is the path of bhakti, the path of devotion, the path of serving the Lord and his devotees. And that path is explained so beautifully in this subject matter. So we have when we have um, a situation in our hands, and and that gives us an impetus to work for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a way which is favorable to the process of bhakti. We don't look for ways, we just try to serve in whatever capacity. And in that capacity, it doesn't matter how well you serve. Some people are very rich, and if they serve to their capacity, it's fine. But if you cannot shell out and you cannot serve to the capacity, that's also fine. So the bhakti is a direct relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and in that relationship is not something which can be quantified by anybody and everybody. That's your personal space in your ability to love, because love knows no barriers, and bhakti is all about loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And and that is the reason why Mother Devahuti, she's the daughter of Swayambhu Manu. She's the daughter of emperor, daughter of a emperor. But in spite of that, she got married to a saintly person and stayed in a hermitage. And then Kapila Dev came, and then the Sankhya philosophy, the philosophy of analysis. Sankhya is all about analysis. It's about trying to analyze the the subject matter, and then that philosophy of analytical knowledge acquisition is conveyed to her by Kapiladev, the son. The son is teaching Mother Devahuti. So, in terms of acquiring process to get to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no difference between son. Son can also be a guru. So, Lord has said that a guru can be anybody in this matter who can show us the path to Godhead. And here, Kapiladev, working as a son, he is doing everything to uplift Mother Devahuti to higher planetary system. And the process of Sankhya philosophy is well understood. And in this verse, it is mentioned that Devahuti is getting liberated, more like how in the process of bhakti, Vidurji's wife was serving. In the serving, she has forgotten what a pulp of the banana is and what a peel. And Lord is also not discriminating. For for that situation, Lord is accepting. You might have seen Lord Krishna massaging the feet of Lord Balram. And once You might have seen Lord is massaging the feet of his devotees, like Sudama in that case, when Sudama comes and Lord is cleaning his Sudama's feet. So in devotion, the devotion is such powerful process that the Lord becomes so dissolved in the process of love and reciprocation of love that he tends to serve the devotees. And that process is taught so beautifully by our acharyas, and Srila Prabhupada uh, especially spoke about the importance of devotional service. And and because we are living in a world where there is so much of ego and there is so much of envy, those are impurities in our path to bhakti. And once we shun this, it becomes Brahma Nirvanam. That means we get rid of this material impurities. All these material obstacles are removed from our path, and we slowly and slowly shun the competition, uh, position seeking mentality, and we slowly and slowly we seek to shun envy from our system and Brahma Nirvanam, and slowly and slowly all this materialistic desires are eliminated, and our system is absolutely ready to cruise to the higher planetary system through the path of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead in our next journey. So this is a systematic path. This is a science as Atmanam, Brahma Nirvanam, and Bhagavantam. This path is so scientifically laid by our acharyas that you have an experiment and you test the output of the experiment and you go back to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this process is so well laid out by our scriptures, by our acharyas, that we don't have to worry about anything. We just have to constantly serve and have a loving and try to build that loving relationship with the loving relationship can be in the form of loving the scriptures, serving the devotees, distributing prasadam, distributing scriptures, because Krishna consciousness is a gift and the gift has to be shared. And when the sharing happens, there is an element of appreciation, just not in the person who is gifting, but also from the other side. And this process, if it is multiplied, and what we are experiencing as bhaktas, as devotees, if these can be experienced by everyone in this world, then the world will be a much better place, and there'll be no wars, there'll be no fighting, and there'll be no arguments. Everything will coherently exist, and we would just keep serving, and the Lord will reciprocate exactly like how Krishna was reciprocating Vidurji's wife by just partaking pills. But our method, as Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, should be in the form of awe and reverence, in the form of serving the topmost value, the topmost service, topmost quality, in which case we yearn to serve in a nice way. If you would see that in various different things, when devotees are focused in providing an outcome for any activity, as over the period of time, it's getting better. Look at the festivals or look at some events around you. As people are putting their heart and soul, it's every activity is becoming, because the empowerment is so important. Once you're empowered to serve in certain way, you come up with ideas and then you really excel it. And when you excel it, what is the outcome? Krishna is pleased. Lord Jagannath is pleased. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pleased. And in this pleasing process, devotees get benefited. And when devotees get benefited, they come to Krishna consciousness. What is making these people so happy? They're just serving us, but still they look so happy. And they come back and join the entourage of this Krishna conscious movement, the path, which is so well laid out. So, Maitreya Muni, Vidurji, their discussion is not about any mundane things. They're discussing, as the first line of the translation says, my dear Vidura, Maitreya Muni is so beautifully saying, they're not talking about any mundane or prajalpa. They're talking about these scientific concepts which can lift devotees back to Godhead, like Devahuti. She is reaching and getting promoted to the higher Vaikuntha planets, in this case, Kapila Vaikuntha. So, when devotees talk, they talk about how devotees can get benefited. What can devotees do to increase their love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are the impediments in the path of the devotees which can be eradicated so that their journey to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be smooth? And that is where we complement each other in our ability to provide help, not take away help, rather help, so that the journey in our devotional service becomes smooth. So, as Devahuti is getting benefited, I hope all of us take to this verse in benefiting the path of our devotees, so that devotees' journey to the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes smooth, as a son, Kapila is facilitating it, and this is getting discussed. This thing has happened in the past, but Maitreya Muni and Vidurji is discussing it and relishing it, because hey, once it happened to us. My wife was serving peels to Krishna, and now I see this in front of my eyes, how a son is facilitating the liberation of the mother, and this path of helping out, the path of realizing that there is a better way to uh, there's a better and a perfect way to go back to Godhead, that gives us hope that in our pursuit of doing devotional service, someday we'll go back to Godhead. So, with that, I would like to end here as to how we should help each other in our pursuit to seek the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in our ability to be Anya Vilashita Sunya, as in we should have desireless service mentality. And with that, we would relish devotional service, and everyone around us will relish devotional service. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day and week ahead. I'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Kaladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Lingam Ugra Veera Mahavishnu Jalantam
Sarvatomukham
Nrsimha Vishnu Bhadram Nityam Namami Nrsimha Bhagwan
Ki Jai. Jai.
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas.
Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Patitanam
Pavanevaya
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Vaishnavinda ki
Ki Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
जय.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari 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 Bol.
Thank you,
Thank you
Namaskar.
everybody. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.